All right. Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the September 5th Agribox Working Group meeting, first meeting in September. Um, to start off, I see we have a new member, William Neal from First Robotics. William, would you be able to introduce yourself to folks and let people know what brings you here?
Hi, good morning. My name is William Neal, the program manager for the First Robotics competition. And I found out about this working group through Eric Frank, who I met at a robotics conference in Waterloo. And I thought it was a really natural connection as we produce a lot of very enthusiastic and capable secondary school students who go off into the workforce and into the post-secondary system with lots of energy, insight, and skills. And so it seems like there's a great overlap with what's happening at the agrobotics working group here. So really great to meet everyone, and thank you very much.
Absolutely. Thanks so much for joining us. We appreciate it. Um, I have no other new members on the list, but is there anybody who hasn't had the chance to introduce themselves before that would like to? No? All right. In that case, we can head right on into our presentation for this morning. So this morning we are joined by Luana and Lester. They work with Rogers Cybersecure Catalyst, and they're here to tell us about the role of cybersecurity in protecting Ontario's agri-food future. So please take it away.
Morning, everyone. Um, I trust you can see Lester's screen. There we
Yes.
go. Fantastic. Thank you for taking the time to join this meeting this morning. It's a pleasure to be with you today. We will take you through a couple of things. Lester, if you can go over to the next slide. So we'll talk about our organization. I recognize cybersecurity might not be one of the topics you necessarily might be acutely aware of. So I wanted to let you know who we are, where we live, sort of in protecting agri-food. Also letting you know what we've discovered so far about cybersecurity and agri-food and why this is an important topic for us to be discussing today. And then we'll go into a couple of programs that we think will be very high value. Of note, the Cyber Integration for Business program that Lester will tell you more about, as well as the Cyber Challenge program that I will be able to let you know a little bit more about. Next slide, please. So the Rogers Cybersecure Catalyst is Canada's National Center for Training, Innovation, Collaboration, and Cybersecurity. And we are a not-for-profit based at the Toronto Metropolitan University. Our headquarters are in Brampton, Ontario, and we also have offices downtown Toronto. We offer a variety of different programs and services for a number of different audiences. So that can be individuals that are looking to upskill and reskill in cybersecurity, so training solutions. There's also corporate cybersecurity. So we work with corporate partners and people that come to us looking for tailored training approaches. And we also do quite a bit of innovation and work with startups and small businesses. And there's another arm that is policy advocacy, public awareness, letting people know the risks of our digital lives and work lives as well. So that's a little bit of what the Rogers Cybersecure Catalyst is and does. Next slide, please. Our network has grown from a few partners, few founding partners. So the Government of Canada, Rogers, as you might have recognized in our name, they're a title sponsor, as well as RBC and the Brampton Innovation District to fund this organization back in 2019. We now have a number of strategic partners, industry partners that are doing our work on the ground with us, as well as a growing number of startups that we support, and of course, small businesses as well. So joining here today is myself. I am an innovation program lead, and I work a lot with startups and thinking about how do we build the ecosystem. Agri-food is my passion area, and I'm very happy to be having this conversation with you. Together with me on this call is Lester. He is one of our senior cybersecurity advisors. And now I'm going to pass it over to him to kick off the rest of the call.
All right. Thank you, Luana. So good to meet all of you. So my name is Lester Chng. Like Luana mentioned, I work at the Catalyst as a senior advisor, working with both private public organizations with their cyber security goals. In particular, one of the area that I focus on is running tabletop exercises, which you may be familiar with. Trying to help organizations understand what it is like on a bad day and best prepare on how to respond to that. So for today's presentation, I'll just go through a couple of slides just to sort of recap, maybe refresh on what the state of cybersecurity is in agri-food sector. So as we look at some stats here, it's stats that are probably grim for the sector, but not only the sector, but Canada and North America as a whole. There's an increase, 27% increase in the number of ransomware incidents in agri-food specifically. A lot of it can be attributed to how easy it is to become a cyber criminal, right? So we have all heard everything as a service, right? So whether SaaS, software as a service, platform as a service, even ransomware has become as a service sort of solution that has allowed cyber criminals to quickly purchase a ransomware kit and exploit an organization. So that has attributed to the rise of ransomware. So it's become easier. The bar has lowered for criminals to exploit organizations, and that has attributed to a rise in that. The other stat here, 50% of Canadian farms and suppliers have reported to be suffered a cyber incident. This is also estimated to be severely underreported because there are, I think, cyber incidents in the agri-food sector especially has not been tracked so closely, and that's largely due to maybe there's no leading organization to be able to openly report to, as well as the lack of awareness within the businesses in this sector to what constitutes an incident and who do I report to, how do we collaborate in that manner. So it states 50%, some of the estimates are up to 80% may not be aware of that. The other stats here are just some numbers regarding the impact of cyber attacks in Canada. So one of the, I think you guys know that agri-food is one of the critical infrastructure sectors identified by Canada, but it's also one of the heavily underinvested areas in terms of cybersecurity. So that is a important factor to consider as we look at how to continue to improve resilience in this space. Okay. So just quickly on some of the critical areas of cybersecurity to think about as we try to scope what are some of the areas that we should be concerned with when it comes to cybersecurity risks. And the first one, ransomware. So I think quickly, ransomware is where malicious software is introduced to your systems, mostly IT systems, but we have seen in rare cases it moving into operational technology. But it essentially encrypts your systems and it deems it, or it becomes inoperable, and that stops a lot of things, right? So whether it is directly impacting production, or it could impact other portions of your IT systems, which disrupts your entire supply chain or your entire sort of life cycle of your company's production. So an example is, even though your scheduling system is not directly impacted to some of your production, if it's impacted, it starts to delay delivery, it starts to mess up maybe addresses because your teams are unable to access who this delivery is supposed to be sent to, and that impacts your overall organization as well. So it may not be a direct disruption to the production systems, but there are other ways that how a ransomware to your IT systems will start to impact overall production. So that's ransomware. Other abuse, remote access abuse. So if you have access monitoring or remote monitoring of your systems, those are also potential areas of exploitation. Asset blind spots. As the organization modernize and add either new equipment or upgrade your software as well as your hardware, there may be the possibility that you do not have visibility over the growth of your equipment. So that's also a area that I think we have seen. If we don't know what we have, it's going to be difficult to try and protect that. The last two, data integrity loss. So one, loss of sensitive information. If your organization has personal information storage, I think every organization, we may not naturally think that we capture or store sensitive information, but majority of organizations have certain sort of information that may be of value to the criminals that would extract that and threaten you for a ransom, threaten to release that for a ransom. And the last one is the type of risk that we don't want to see happening, meaning impacting equipment production, leading to safety issues. So those are some of the critical areas to think about as we tackle the cybersecurity risks within your organization. Some of the frameworks to think about and apply when you're looking at how do you improve your cyber resilience. So there are two bodies and one additional framework that we normally reference and use for guidance. So in Canada, we usually defer to CCCS, which is Canadian Centre for Cybersecurity. So they do put out a lot of good information and guidance on what steps to take, where to start, what are some frameworks that they would recommend organizations frame out and think of how they should start their cybersecurity journey. So that's normally our Canadian go-to reference for most things in cybersecurity. The other organization, which is CISA down in the States, so they are one of the leading organizations to drive whether it's advisory or sort of early warning reports to organizations if they do pick up on certain intelligence and investigation. So CISA always promotes information sharing within their partners to be able to push out information as early as possible to organizations. And the last one here, it's a organization. NIST is an organization, but in particular, NIST cybersecurity framework, the bottom right circle there, that is a useful framework to help understand what does good look like in my cybersecurity program? What are some of the key things I should think about? Why am I buying a firewall? Why am I protecting my email? What's the risk for my public-facing website? So the framework gives a good lens on how to view it through the 6 functions. So govern all the way through to respond. And it helps organizations understand what is the end state and takes a snapshot of where you are in your current state. So that gives you a good roadmap to build up and to understand, okay, why am I buying a firewall? What are the things I need to protect? Without that framework, it can be overwhelming and it really feels like a never-ending journey in cybersecurity. But having the end goal, it's useful to map out your roadmap. Okay, and that leads me to talk about some of the programs that we have stood up in order to support Ontario in small medium businesses in Ontario to help move and maybe to start your cyber program if you have not even thought about it. And for organizations that are a bit more mature, I think there's also the ability to take a sort of assessment of where you are and see where we can help in terms of advisory on building out their roadmap. So a couple of years ago, we've partnered with CCTX. CCTX is a Canadian Cyber Threat Exchange. So they are our partners in this overall program. So together we receive certain funding from Ontario's MatchCap to help launch 2 programs. So I'll talk about cyber integration for business, and then I'll pass it to Luana to talk about the cyber challenge. So as part of the cyber integration for business, the first upcoming event we have is a webinar, and we are glad to have Chuck as one of our panelists. So essentially, we would host an expert panel and talk about some of the issues that I mentioned, but also practical issues on how small, medium businesses can adopt best practices to be able to protect themselves. We also have some of the larger industry partners. And if you are a small, medium business looking to provide solutions to the large enterprise or the larger processes, we also expect to talk about certain IT and security requirements that the larger organizations may need from suppliers looking to work within their ecosystem. So that is happening on 29 September. And yeah, we want to have those important discussions. Yeah, and to mention, so these programs are free and it's funded by the Ontario government, and we are looking to reach out to small, medium businesses to be able to provide as much information and help as we can. So that's the webinar. The second piece to it is a cyber boot camp. This takes place for 6 weeks starting October 2nd. So 2 hours every Thursday morning. And this is a boot camp that is curated especially for the agri-food sector. And we cover some of the topics there. What we look to achieve within the 6 weeks is to really to bring awareness to the practitioners within your organizations and give them the correct understanding, vocabulary, frameworks, risk management, thinking about cybersecurity, and also some practical tips on how to, for example, manage and if there's an incident within your organization, what are some of the best practices to do that. So this 6-week bootcamp will be, and it's all virtual, will be led by myself and Ritesh. Ritesh has a unique experience of being a lawyer, a technologist, and his family also owns a food processor. So he has sort of first-hand experience of building out certain cybersecurity controls and considerations within a small, medium business involved in agri-food. So we hope to see you and sign up for the bootcamp. I think Luana, if you can also, I think, put the link within the chat. We'll love to see you there. And the last part before I hand over to Luana to talk about Cyber Challenge, the Cyber Roadmap is a self-assessment. So we have a quick 20-question assessment tool based on the framework that I was talking about prior. This gives you a good snapshot of where you are in terms of your cybersecurity program. And together with that, there's an option to have a one-on-one call with myself, and we can talk through some of the specific issues that you may be facing within your organization. So again, all these are fully funded programs, and we'll love for you to sign up and be part of that. And I'll hand it over to Luana to talk about the Cyber Challenge.
Lester. So the Cyber Challenge program is slightly different. We work with cybersecurity startups and we help them identify specific sector challenges that they can then solve. Now, why I'm talking to you about this is because we need your support. We need to hear your stories or your concerns about cybersecurity in ways or even challenges that you're uncovering as you're developing technologies for agri-food or in your practice, to uncover those challenges, to understand them, and potentially collaborate with those startups to create those custom fit solutions. There's also an opportunity to have improved data security and create a competitive edge, because threats continue to evolve, especially in the face of AI and new devices coming online. There's always new risks that can put your business or your customers at risk, unfortunately. And you can be at the leading edge of that to be proactive and understand those risks and patch them before they become real concerns. And there's also an opportunity to have thought leadership and become leading innovators in cybersecurity for agri-food specifically. This is an evolving field, but it is also very exciting. So I want to hear from you. If you have concerns, if you have questions or thoughts, or even approaches that you've identified that work for your company and your business, please email me. I'm also going to paste my LinkedIn in the chat, and Lester's as well. And also, if you would like to pilot some of these technologies or offer some testing opportunities, a struggle that companies have often is they don't know exactly what the data looks like. So they don't know exactly how to protect it, because there might be specific nuances that they haven't engaged with in the past. So if you would like to have a conversation with me about what this could look like, I would be very, very happy to hear from you. Thank you, Lester. Over to you now.
Okay, I think that's the end of our presentation. So if we had questions, feel free to, yeah, I think then we have some time if you have for questions as well. If not,
Yeah.
I think we put in our contact details. So feel free to let us know if there were further queries as well.
Sure thing. Absolutely. And yes, we do have some time for questions if anybody has any. Go ahead, Caesar.
Hi, good morning. Great presentation, by the way. Thank you guys for coming today. Yes, as you know, this group is a robotic group for agriculture, and a lot of time, and you reference to organizations and company, but a lot of times it's family operations or farm operations that have a very low level of knowledge about what even entails cybersecurity, and I could consider myself one of them. It's never been a big concern for me, but now we're bringing all this newer technology, which I think it might come or not, but I'm pretty sure some people are concerned about it, with a new set of risk, like you bring a robot that is connected to the internet and someone might hack it, and then the whole farm operation might be brought down, when before it was just a machine, now it's a computer. How do we help educate these people about the risk and how to manage them? And is there any sort of training or any sort of plan to help these farm operations reach to them in a way, in their own language, in their own way, that help them protect themselves for this new scenario? Like we all know that attacking the supply chain, it could be just economic purpose, if someone tries to stop your operations and ask for a ransom, or it might be actually international warfare. It's happened before in history. So I think we should be tailoring the message also to those that they're not a big organization. There are farmers that barely use a laptop. Many of them actually still use like pen and paper. They have no idea what this is about. So what's the best way to approach them in your perspective, and what the risk is?
Yeah, so I think agriculture and agri-food Canada has a lot of resources. I think Shireen is on the call as well. So I think that I think one of the first things that we face, and rightfully so, is raising the level of awareness, right? So telling people, trying to sort of contextualize what the risk is, right? Because if we don't contextualize it, then if you ask me, and if I'm not in this space, I would think that, okay, cybersecurity is like, for IT personnel to deal with. Secondly, they're going to only target sort of like high value targets who there is, I guess, a higher probability of payment if that's the end target. But we have seen I think in one of the recent cases where a farm was targeted for hacktivist reasons, right? So it's not for money, it's for I think in that case was environmentalist reasons. So helping to scope and sort of raise awareness of, okay, who actually are the ones doing these attacks, right? So there is a wide range. So whether it's your top end nation state actors, so those are funded and organized by other countries, to even like hacktivists, like they just want to disrupt your business because they are not in line with your either business practice or the type of work that you do. So sort of situating that, okay, who are we dealing with? And that then leads to, okay, what are some of their methods of attacking, right? And a lot of it, I think the last stats was like 70 to 80% of how a cyber incident starts is through a phishing email. And that is something that I think all of us receive phishing email attempts. Definitely our phones are inundated with SMS, dodgy SMS that we receive what seems like daily nowadays. So contextualizing that, I think that's one of the most important first steps. Then you talk about increasing the footprint of all the various devices that are being added. Not only hard devices, but the software applications that all organizations use and can be adopted almost instantly. You can just purchase any software and start using it, leading to I think the considerations for the explosion of AI tools, which I think everyone wants to use for increasing productivity. But if we don't pause and stop to think about, okay, what are some of the risks? Are we uploading information that may be sensitive, may be harmful if released? All that I mentioned, if we do not have a coherent approach to managing that, then we will never sort of catch up with all the risks. We're always responding and reacting to things when happen. So understanding and having what we call a cyber risk management framework, to be able to understand what you have, understand what the risks are, understand when things change. Firstly, how do you know if it changes? When it does change, what are some of your preparation in terms of how you can respond? So those are some of the things that I think are some of the questions and steps to help improve cybersecurity. So it is a lot of baby steps. Yeah.
Sorry, Lester, didn't mean to interrupt.
Yeah, go ahead, Luana.
I was just going to say, I would also add, I sent a link in the chat for Agriculture and Agri-Food Canada's toolkit. I know Shireen is on the call. I'm not sure if you want to, I don't want to put you on the spot, but Shireen has been spearheading a lot of this work, and they have quite a few tools and resources that you can access. So I sent a link. She also sent a few links, so feel free to check those out. They're quite comprehensive.
Oh, thanks so much, Luana and Lester, for the helpful plug. I just wanted to touch base on the question specifically about what SMEs have available to them. We have been really working on this for the past couple of years. We have a public website dedicated specifically to helping SMEs understand the cyber risks. It can be really overwhelming. It can be really overwhelming. And as Lester and Luana have pointed out, this happens to everybody. It's a matter of when, not whether it will happen. And so we really are trying to have been working over the past 2 years to get that awareness piece out there to make sure that small and medium enterprises, particularly small ones, you talked about family operations, they don't have time. You know, we're in harvest season, people are really busy, they have a lot of priorities, resources are limited, particularly IT resources, right? So if we can help deliver that information in a digestible, quick way in a timely manner to these stakeholders, that has really been where our focus has been. And we do have a toolkit that can be downloaded and that is evergreen. So we are always looking to add to it, but comprised within that toolkit is a case study and it walks, through what can happen, how easily it is to exploit vulnerabilities, because people are incredibly busy and bombarded with information, and all it takes is one click and it can cause really a lot of chaos. And Lester was talking about the different impacts. There's so many motivations these days, from state-sponsored actors, as we've talked about, to people who are just kind of fooling around and seeing if they can make a quick buck, because oftentimes they can. There's a lot of low-hanging fruits in the agricultural sector. And so I would love to give more information on that if helpful, but we do have an excellent toolkit as a starting point, and we'd love to see the work that's being undertaken by the Cyber Catalyst, and we're so excited to see where this goes and the conversations that it generates.
That's awesome. Thank you so much for all that info, all the links. Like that's all really great. Thanks so much. Ian, go ahead.
Hi, I like the presentation. Thanks very much. Just a comment. We have sort of at least on the farm level, maybe not in sort of the ag business, but at the farm level, we sort of have a reduced risk awareness quotient, or whatever you want to call it, in farming, mostly because the people that are in farming have grown up with it since being little kids. And nothing's ever happened, as somebody mentioned. And so, the odd time that something happens, you go, oh, wow, that poor person. But I think it's going to be difficult to get this on people's radar to give it more seriousness. And I think we, as a working group, as this stuff moves along and it's going to be controlled by our cell phones and stuff like that, the people that are going to be able to make the most inroads in getting farmer awareness of this stuff is probably their commodity organizations. And I think we need to sort of engage with that level to help, because I can't think of an ag conference in the last 5 years where we've had a cybersecurity session on that people have gone to and has raised their awareness. So I think one of our biggest struggles will be raising awareness with the farm community to the impact and the seriousness of this and the actuality of it happening to them. So just something that we need to sort of think about.
Well, I think it's hard to imagine. For some of us, as the technology advances, we actually can't even imagine what that outcome might be. I think the term I heard was an untopia or something like that, or dystopian or something like that. That we can't even imagine what the outcome might be, because the technology is changing all the time, and as these new machines and things are being collected, and maybe the risk is high, maybe it's low. We don't know, but I think part of this is like just showing examples of, here's something that could happen, and here's why you should care.
Like personally, I only know of 2 cases of it in Ontario, and that was 2 rural vet clinics that got hit for ransom. And I've not heard of any farmers or anything. And maybe it's out there, and maybe we're keeping it quiet. Maybe we need to make a bigger deal of broadcasting when those types of things happen, because that's what would raise awareness.
Yeah, there was a couple of input retailers that were hit and had their fertilizer system shut down. And I think Sherry's chomping at the bit to give her example too.
Yeah, I mean, it's just when you're talking to dairy farmers, they're also keys for this, because they have so much money moving around, and we've had people break into their Gmail and basically have any mails coming from the bank or suppliers automatically be sent to their inbox and deleted. And then they've been responding on their behalf. And the bank was just about to wire this new account, I think it was $5 million for this new barn build, and the bank was smart enough to call them. Yeah, they're definitely out there. But I've got another question too later.
Please go ahead, Sherry.
Yeah, I guess with the whole concept of cybersecurity, I mean, yeah, really good topic to cover. It's like insurance. People don't pay attention to it until they need it. One of the things that we face copycat companies. So we have a company that's named almost the same as ours, based in Pakistan. We make dairy management software, but we also make a software that does insights and does everything from managing a team, things like shift schedulers and task managers, all with an agricultural slant. But we found them actually on our email list. And then after we released something, we actually went to their site and they copied it and released it. And with AI, they're able to make a very similar looking front end. So, we go down all the paths of, okay, trademarks and copyrights and all the things that you do. But in the end, we run into, especially with AI, more of a cybersecurity of somebody copying our IP. And in Canada, we have good controls on that. But when we're dealing with countries that don't necessarily have any sort of controls about that, it can really impact us in, we don't even put a lot on our website as to what we do because of that. I don't know if you get into that area, because I mean, that's really my top concern is, you know, uh, us spending all this time and money to develop this IP, and then somebody coming in, getting a test copy and using AI to copy it. Any comments on that?
No, I think that's not directly, but I think we can take back that topic. My co-facilitator is a lawyer, so I'm sure he has his insights on copyright and how we can best protect that. But you're right, I think and just hearing that hurts, pains my heart. Like you have information and knowledge that you want to put publicly, but you fear doing that because someone can just take it away and utilize it. So I think that's yeah, something that's highly concerned, and it's something that we can definitely take away to think about.
And if I may add, we're always looking for new resource to add, specifically profiling the AI lens and the risks inherent with that, and what it does mean for the small businesses that don't have, obviously they're small and large businesses, frankly, that can't be on top of all of these copycats that are stealing the information is very important. It also ties in with the social engineering piece that AI is obviously allowing to proliferate through every industry, but we take note of that, and we will see what we can develop so that at least we can get the awareness piece out there.
Yeah, that would be great, because even we have great partners like BioEnterprise, but they even contacted BioEnterprise and tried to do a joint release with them, acting as if they were us. So I mean, yeah, it's out there.
I have a question on the insurance companies as far as, sorry, I hopped on late here, but are the insurance companies engaging in this? I know I think it was Economical has something to do with cybersecurity and a bit of a policy on that. Are they engaging with the government to try to quench this, or they're just dealing with it and paying, or anybody know about that?
We had to, our insurance companies have added cybersecurity clauses about 3 years ago.
Mhm.
A lot of them are just, honestly, it feels like they're just paying, right? Because there's not much that an insurance company can do. But that's a lot of it is just about financial losses and that kind of thing.
Right. So yeah, there's no government spearhead that is trying to we had it years ago, even when my son got their license, we got scammed by a company in England, kind of thing. So there is no government outrage on this, or any special task force with the government trying to identify all this. Like, is it just something you think we're going to deal with for the rest of our life, or is there going to be some kind of, with AI, I agree it's easy, but with AI, it's easy to catch it too. So any dollars from the government going towards this issue, and it's a big issue.
Yeah, I think the two things there I want to talk about. I think that is from I guess a crime enforcement point of view, and trying their best to catch the people who are exploiting or conducting these attacks. I think we have seen certain success in here in Canada, of course, in collaboration with a lot of our international partners. So we know that there is a focus and efforts being done there to proactively catch and stop these syndicates. So that's on the I guess the direct impact front. The second part about insurance, which may be sobering, I'm sure all of us have seen the reports on the city of Hamilton attack that happened a few years ago, and I think last 2 weeks they came out and say that the insurance company is not going to cover the cost of the insurance, or cost of the damages, because, and they explicitly mentioned multi-factor authentication was not implemented across the organization, and that sort of void their coverage. So yeah, that may, I guess precedence was already been set prior, but I think that was one of the headlines coming out of that.
Yeah, no, I guess then part of it is, like you were saying earlier, is it's awareness and education, and especially in the agricultural side of things. But yeah, appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah, I think Caesar, is it Caesar? You had your hand up?
Only if there is time, Dan. I know I have my opportunity to talk already. Are we good?
Yeah, absolutely. Go ahead.
Okay. Yeah, just one little comment. Related to what Ian and myself say before, I think it's important to create that awareness. At the same time, I think it's as a group that try to promote the adoption of this of newer technology, we shouldn't create that much fear that people just say just become wary of using technology, or because of fear of this dystopian scenarios. I think we should gauge enough awareness to create action, but not too much to create a barrier. That's it.
Absolutely. Thanks, Caesar. Andrew, go ahead.
Thank you for the presentation. Hope you can hear me okay. Cybersecurity is a very special thing to me, so I'm excited to have just like 1 2 minutes to say this. Is what are your optics on the legacy systems, especially boots on the ground cybersecurity attacks on old legacy equipment, or moving into electronic jumpers to steal vehicles or open gates? You know, when you actually have those physical people on the ground. So my startup, we put items on machines. And so we're always worried about someone plugging into a cable, plugging into something. And so sometimes farmers are our worst offender because they're fiddling. So I'm just kind of curious where you guys are intersecting with that boots on the ground cybersecurity issues.
Yeah. So I think I think that's an important point, like understanding, because at the end of the day, that's safety as well. I think safety is one of the most paramount things in terms of operating your equipment and all. So I think that's certainly is going to be a priority for most organizations. So I think it's mostly raising the awareness, understanding what are the risks, what can go wrong. Are you testing it within a controlled area? Are you even testing it? I think those are certain key things to think about. It has not, and to be fair, it has not been common where equipment is directly impacted by a cyber incident. So that is maybe a bit oversold in the industry and in other organizations, but it is not that common. Having said that, it has been on an increase trend, so that's something to keep an eye on. But I think back to my earlier point, there are many ways that what seems like a benign IT incident starts to impact your overall organization, and I think those are some of the early things to catch on and to I guess if you were to spend your time investing where you protect, I think the easy IT incidents are the ones you should try and resolve first. The more isolated systems, just by the nature of being isolated, there is inherently less risk there.
Chuck, go ahead.
Well, I think related to that, Andrew and Lester, is how that intersects with right to repair. You know, there is a group of people that are pushing, you know, having access to this software code from the angle of I have a right to repair that software. And a good example of that is a lot of machinery uses isobus CAN messaging. And those isobus CAN messages are quite often hacked by third-party companies to create tracking and logging software and information sharing software with or without the original equipment manufacturer's permission. And so I'm just curious, this might not relate to a cybersecurity piece, but what kind of discussions are you hearing about where there's an intersection of, right to repair the software, I need to be able to see it, and the farmer like just clipping into it, like what Andrew talked about. I'm not sure if you understand. Maybe I'm not sure if I've been clear enough as to what I was asking, but whether you've heard of that, where the farmer, where the people say, I need to have access, and so that creates basically a vulnerability, an open vulnerability.
Yeah, I think we've seen it, maybe not as much as a large of a scale, but in a lot of, I think when we had our smart infrastructure conversations, the need for a central control for all sort of IoT devices within a building to be able to regulate and essentially achieve their ESG goals within a smart building. So that leaves a lot of gaps open, right? Where either it is designed to be open, or like you mentioned, hacked to be open in order to draw information. So I think those are, yeah, certainly we've heard of those conversations. And I will take that back with my co-facilitator to dive a bit deeper into some of those. And we will certainly cover that within the boot camp as well.
And if I just may add quickly on right to repair and the risks of non-OEM essentially equipment and being able to source things nowadays kind of everywhere from the international global supply chain, that comes certainly with risk, because that is an area. If what you're hearing from your networks and your memberships that they are concerned, or if you note that is a rising area of concern, it's really helpful for us as government to get that feedback, because then we can prepare those advocacy pieces, or we can prepare those informational pieces that help people understand. We do have available a checklist of things that when you're assessing a vendor, what you can think about, because there's a lot of questions that are maybe not taken into account naturally with respect to cybersecurity. And something like this conversation, which is a separate conversation and is the subject of policy work underway outside of my subject matter expertise, but it does play into the cybersecurity aspect of sourcing parts, having access to systems that inherently create a vulnerability. So if I'm hearing that is a rising area of concern, I can note that, and we can certainly work on a piece on our roadmap for increasing that awareness.
I think it's a very common request from the early adopters of the robotic systems that we get involved with.
Yeah.
Many of the farmers are, closet computer programmers that are adopting these robots, and the very common request is can I get access to the ROS? Can I get access to this computer, to this robot software, so that I can do something that I want to do? And they don't like it when I tell them no. And they bring this up, and I try to explain the inherent vulnerability if these things get open. I would say it's not every farmer that gets a robot from us, but I bet you it's probably 25%. So it's significant enough number, and those requests are coming all the time, especially because farming is so unique. A lot of times when people will buy like an iPhone or buy a car or whatever, they just live with this is how it looks because the roads are generally the same. But every farm is different. Every farm is a little bit unique. So a lot of these farmers think they need to customize something. But this whole understanding of the openness to customize creates a gaping hole that someone can potentially take advantage of.
Chuck, I've got two thoughts on that, and I wonder what your thoughts are. We've just recently started changing our software so that a portion of it is kind of like, as opposed to, I'll use the metaphor, as opposed to making a finished graphic, we're making Photoshop. So we've started making a portion of this that allows people to take a kind of wiki approach where they can add pieces to it and they can be a contributor. And then creating the framework for that. That's one, because we've come into that too, and you have, the rigidity is sometimes necessary, but if you can actually create kind of like a wiki style platform, I don't know if that works for robotics, but where people can connect in and add more and use that as a basis for their own innovations. And the second thing is for source code, we're dealing with this with a really big company that wants to work with us. And they're like, but what if you disappear? You're small, right? And so that's where for us, we're looking through basically putting our source code in a third-party controlled vault so that if something happens, they have access to it, but they don't have access until then. So those are the two thoughts that come up when you're talking about that.
And so we are seeing a little bit of that. And so there's robotics companies are starting to build in certain inputs that third-party sensors and third-party pieces can tell the robot to stop, for example, or to trigger an action or whatever. So I think we're starting to see that, but it's only just the very beginning.
Yeah, because I mean, when we're talking about innovation in Canada, I'm always thinking, how do we take that small farmer that is techie? How do we get them to contribute to the overall picture too, right? Like, can we make the methodology and they use that as a platform? Yeah.
Excellent. Thanks so much, everybody. Great presentation, great conversation. Lester and Luana, thank you so much for taking the time to join us this morning. We have a few minutes left, so I want to give a chance to some folks in roundtable. But I also do have two quick notes. One, the working group will be at Canada's Outdoor Farm Show next week. We will be in OMAFA's Innovation Tent. So please come and visit us if you're coming out to the farm show. We would love to see you in person. Also, I'll just put shameless plug. The Western Fair starts today, runs for the next 10 days. So in with that, if I am slow to respond to any communications this week, please forgive me, but we're a little swamped this time of year, so please forgive me on that. I saw Taylor, you mentioned something coming up that you'd like to talk about in the roundtable, so please go ahead.
Yeah, thanks, Dan. I posted something in Eventbrite. It's going to be a webinar next week, 11 a.m. to 12, going over not just where the Trade Commissioner Service is in Mexico. We're in 3 different locations, but highlighting all of the opportunities within the ag tech ecosystem and upcoming events as well. Where we'll both be supporting and also kind of the latest trends and whatnot. So a bit of a download from consultants who we trust to help us, match Canadian companies with potential Mexican suppliers or clients. So come on out if you want to learn more about Mexico and what the Trade Commissioner Service is doing there. Thanks a lot.
Excellent. Thanks, Taylor. Appreciate it. Did anybody else have anything for the roundtable?
I think Conrad did a great presentation. Didn't know you want to talk about your strawberry robot or your platform from yesterday, Conrad, if you're still on the call. Not sure if he's still here or not, but this was at the Twilight Berry Growers meeting. We had let's say close to 80 or 90 I think close to 100 farmers showed up to see. We had Connexio presented their robot for applying UV light to tabletop berries or hanging berries, and so that was nice. And then we showed the Burrow and the Oz robot, as well as our UV light weed killing implement that we had as well.
Awesome. Thanks for that update on the meeting last night, Chuck. Appreciate it. Garson just mentioned in the chat, Kane will be at the Outdoor Farm Show as well. Ag Tech Breakfast is Wednesday. Let Garson know if you need tickets. Early start to the day, so come by the OMAFA Innovation Tent at 3 for coffee and snacks. Thanks very much, Garson.
Our pleasure. We noticed that we usually run out of coffee. early in the afternoon or by lunchtime. So we said we better make sure that there's coffee in the afternoon for ourselves. It's kind of for our own thing, but we're happy to share. So if you're out and about that day, please come by for some coffee, snacks, and some additional networking before you get on the long lineup of the highway to get home.
Absolutely. Thanks, Garrison.
You bet.
I'll also add if folks wanted or interested in gate passes, I have a few I can distribute as well with the group. So just contact me. I'll throw my email in the chat. So hope to see you.
Perfect. Thanks, Kelly. Appreciate that. All right. And with that, that'll bring us to the close of the meeting for this week. Thank you, everybody, for the great conversation. Thanks again for the presentation today. Everybody have themselves a great weekend and come to the fair if you're not doing anything else. We got lots of fun stuff going on. All right.
Bye,
Take care,
everyone.
everybody. Thanks so much.
Thank
Thanks,
you,
everyone.
everyone.